It's nearly here, it is. And today we've got a special 2-part series to discuss actually on smoking. It's a topic that, always gets people talking, and actually the reason I thought about doing this one was when we discussed the blood pressure segment. A few people, they texted and tweeted in about, also, smoking can affect your blood pressure. So I thought, well, maybe we should do an informative smoking segment to discuss, sort of the clear facts and sort of side effects.
It's kind of tricky because we all know it's bad for us, and it's, so it's without kind of sounding too preacherish, I guess.
I know.
But it's good to know the facts and to know the details.
Absolutely. It is one of these subjects that everyone sort of groans. They all know about smoking, but let's be honest, do we really know the real nitty-grittiness, of it? So today I thought we'll sort of do that. So, like I said, if you do actually smoke out there, maybe you're not even a regular smoker, but you sort of think, you have a social cigarette, and you don't see, think this is a big problem. But actually, it is a bit boring, but it's true. But, the average cigarette, it does have 4,000 chemicals in it.
4,000?
4,000 chemicals, which is a lot, when you think about that sort of 5 minutes or whatever it takes to smoke. I'm not a smoker. I've never really understood it, but I can understand that people do find it addictive. And I guess if you have 4,000 chemicals rushing through you, then you would probably become addicted to some of those sort of chemicals. So, as you take your sort of first drag and the smoke passes through your mouth, it can leave, a brown sort of film on your teeth. So we all know about the side effects of that, right? And, some of those chemicals you may have heard of. The one that scares me the most is formaldehyde. Do you know what that is?
No, I'm not sure.
No.
Not familiar with that one.
So formaldehyde and ammonia are prevalent in cigarettes. And formaldehyde is actually used to embalm bodies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The shark at Damien Hirst Relics, which is currently here in Doha, is embalmed in formaldehyde.
Wow.
So if you think about it like that, it can actually, it's quite a strong chemical to be able to keep something like that still...
kind of preserve.
Absolutely, yeah, to preserve it. So that's a very strong chemical. And ammonia, which you find in nail polish remover. So that's nice.
Lovely.
Taking that in. So yeah, so like we said, we don't want to preach too much. I'm sure if you are a smoker, you're probably
like this.
a little bit like, I don't want to hear this morning. But it's just, to get you thinking about what you're actually doing to your body and to try and get you to think, do you really need this, or can you, try and cut down? So, your body, you're smoking, and what it actually does is it really wreaks havoc with your internal chemistry as well. It sends signals to your brain. It makes you obviously look and crave for more cigarettes. So it's a toxin that's coming in. Carbon monoxide as well is something that is in cigarettes, and we all heard about carbon monoxide poisoning. It's so, it's so serious, but yet these are in tiny forms in a cigarette, so you have to think about that. So when you're actually smoking that cigarette, what happens is your dopamine levels increase. We spoke about dopamine on this show before. It's when your brain feels a little bit happy, so your levels go up. So of course you get a high from it, hence why people get addictive to smoking. So your dopamine levels go up, which causes a bit of havoc on your system, your internal chemistry, like I've said. So after you've smoked, those levels go crashing down again. So it's like you've had the high, you've crashed back down, and that's why you tend to reach for more, or you get a little bit cranky. And if you've not had a cigarette, people after a long flight, they're like, I need a cigarette.
Yeah.
And they just have to go for one. And I'm always amazed that if you are a smoker, how you can manage a long flight. Like I recently went to the States, 15-hour flight. That's a long time.
It is for a smoker. It probably is, but they're probably like plan their holidays around shorter locations.
Actually, I did hear about someone I know who did this, and they took like lots of different planes and even a boat at one point so they could smoke. And I did think, wow, that's dedication to something that's not really worth dedicating to. But anyway, yeah. So after you've had that cigarette, the smoke is gone from your system, and yeah, you're filled with these toxins. So it's something to bear in mind. You really want to sort of have that. So we know that smoking kills. That's a very big fact that we used to have in Britain. It used to be an ad campaign, right? It was like out there to shock. So as I mentioned, in a cigarette there's up to 4,000 chemicals, and 60 of them have been linked to cause cancer. So yeah, that big ad campaign in the UK a few years ago, smoking kills. And if you are familiar with cigarette packets in, for example, the UK, I'm not sure about other countries, they do have these sort of quite graphic images on them.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't look at a packet of it really, but yet people still, it doesn't put them off.
I guess it's kind of weird because when I went to Australia last year, they have really graphic pictures
Do
on theirs
okay.
as well. And then they were doing plain packets as well, which is like where you don't have any advertising on it, no names or anything like that. But yeah, it's kind of strange. I think when you're a smoker, you just don't look at it. You kind of just and it becomes normal. I don't know. It's just like, oh, it's a packet.
Well, it's like they say, it's a dirty habit, and then it is basically a habit that you just don't even think about anymore. So, just something to, if you are in your car or you're at home just now, if you are a smoker, just, take a few minutes just to listen to us and just maybe think about this. Like, do you really need this? I mean, in amongst some of those chemicals, I'm going to read them off. They're a little bit, graphic, but I'm going to tell you, cyanide. That's a deadly poison. Cyanide. That's, it's used in... It used to be used in execution chambers in the World War II. It's a serious, chemical. There's carbon monoxide, like I said, formaldehyde, which is an embalming product. There's a lot of other things. Polonium, which is a radioactive.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a toxic.
I'm intrigued how these make it into a cigarette, though. Obviously, the companies have perfected how to make the perfect tasting
and of course,
cigarette.
it's like tiny, tiny amount. Like cyanide, it's a tiny amount, but it's over a time. If you're smoking a lot over a long time, you can understand why that is going to cause cancers. Not just the obvious cancers like lung cancer. That's what everyone associates smoking with. It's actually things like mouth cancers. They're linked to like over 60 cancers.
Yeah.
So it's rife throughout the whole body.
And you can see how your hair and your skin and everything's going to
Well, that's the thing. Like, side effects from smoking aren't just internal. It's also your physical appearance. So people who smoke a lot do tend to have that sort of grey complexion. They can have stained teeth, like we've discussed, yellow fingernails, not very attractive. And of course, you can have these sort of wrinkle lines around the mouth area. And people who smoke have been known to have thinner hair as well, and just age a lot quicker. So, if you are... you sort of smoke because you thought maybe it looked cool at one point. It doesn't look so cool when you look kind of aged and drawn and are ill from it. It's not a great thing. So yeah, and going back to what's in there, in a cigarette, obviously nicotine is that main ingredient. That's the addictive element of it. And, originally they put that into cigarettes for it to be addictive so people would purchase it again and again. It's basically a marketing and a business tool that has lasted a long time, and even though you're saying they've changed packets and stuff, still popular, still popular, which kind of leads me on to, like, in this region, something that's really popular, of course, is shisha.
Yes.
And there's a little bit of a discussion point with this, because in Britain at the moment, this has become really popular now. It's like, it's so cool to have shisha, and there's special shisha bars popping up all over the place. But shisha actually can be just as dangerous as smoking cigarettes, but there isn't really a warning attached to it. Like, you don't have any idea about it. So you're having a packet of cigarettes, it's got this graphic image on it. You're smoking a shisha pipe, you look really cool, and it's fruity. You have no idea.
Smells nice.
Yeah.
And stuff. It's a bit I can imagine it is misleading. And I think some people, thinking in the UK, probably even realise it's like tobacco.
Yeah, I don't
they
think
it's like a steam kind of smoke or something
they do.
like that.
I know it.
It is a lighter smoke. It's not as heavy as cigarette smoke. So
absolutely. It always reminds me of in Alice in Wonderland, the like caterpillar or something was sort of smoking this shisha. I think maybe it was something else, but I think it does, even for girls as well. Yeah, it does. I mean, like I said, I'm not a smoker, but I have had shisha before because I thought, oh yeah, this is fruity, and I knew it was tobacco. But actually, the worrying thing is the World Health Organization has warned that a 1 hour shisha can be as harmful as smoking 100 cigarettes.
Whoa.
So okay, maybe you're thinking I don't do it for an hour, but 10 minutes or whatever, that adds up.
Yeah.
So that's shocked me because I've always been quite proud that I'm not a smoker, and all of a sudden I'm thinking, well,
you would have packed away 300 cigarettes in your time.
Yeah, I've had shisha a few times, so it's like, ugh. So, that's the thing with shisha, and I think it's become the same as smoking. Wouldn't you agree? Like, it became almost like socially accepted that you smoke, and this tends to start in schools and things like that. Like, if you're cool, you smoke. And likewise with like shisha, if you're going to somewhere, you feel that you can have to join in.
Yeah, a social thing. And I think it's interesting here as well because you don't see a lot of female smokers.
No.
There's obviously a smaller percentage of female smokers than there is of male. However, when it comes to shisha, everybody does it.
Well, that's the thing. And it is because I think people sort of think it looks kind of glamorous or whatever. It's pretty pipes and all these things,
and social and just nice and good weather to sit
absolutely.
outside
Yeah, it is social. And, that leads me, onto this sort of topic here of in the UK in 2004, we enforced a smoking ban, which meant you can't smoke inside a bar or a restaurant, anything like that, shop or anything. So the idea was they'd be driven outside to the wet and cold, they'll stop smoking. No, they didn't. Actually, I found, as a non-smoker, I felt a bit like a social outcast because all of my friends would go outside and smoke, and then they would congregate and have their own little conversations. Yeah. And I'd be left inside on my own. Yeah. And then when they would appear again, you were out of this conversation. So it was a strange thing, but it was good because it meant that obviously the inside of these restaurants and things didn't have this smoky atmosphere, which is passive smoke coming onto you, and that can be serious as well.
It was hideous because I used to work in a restaurant and they used to be smoking, and I just at the end of the night stank. And I just
your hair, everything.
Think about how much smoke I actually took in as passive, passively.
I think that's why they did it as well, didn't they? They thought that it wasn't fair on people who work there. They were getting all of this extra secondhand smoke. But I know myself, I used to sort of wake up and you would smell smoke on your hair and you didn't realise just how bad it was. So I think that's something that other countries are trying to do a bit more of, and it probably does cut down. But you have to think about that. If you are a smoker and you're thinking of stopping, if you were in a country that it made you go outside and made you create an effort, you probably would think about it a little bit more. So, it's something to bear in mind.
So all in all, shisha, just as bad, if not worse, than smoking.
Yeah, like I said, today we didn't want to sort of preach, but we know that smoking's harmful. But it's to give you a little bit of a little shock to find out exactly what's in those cigarettes. 4,000 chemicals, I'll just say it again.
I can't believe that.
Yeah, it's a lot. And I know it's in a small amount, but there's serious chemicals in there that you really don't know. We even still don't know the long-term effects of this, At the moment, it's obviously linked to a lot of different cancers, but there could be new things that come from it as well. And obviously shisha smoking as well, something to bear in mind. It's I know it's social and everything, but everything in moderation, I think. We're going to finish this series in the next show just by talking about how smoking actually affects your fitness, your cardiovascular health. So if you're into sports and things, how you can be sort of hindering your progress by smoking, and also a little bit of a topic on if you want to stop, how do you cease? We've got some really good ideas, so please tune in and listen to that, and you never know, you might learn some stuff from us.
We promise not to preach too much.
Yes, we'll try.
Well, we'll see you next week.
On Monday we'll be back for that one.